Literally. And at one point my mom was like, you can wear a mask around me like if you're nervous. And I was like, well, if you she said
You're
to
like,
me
why
this
should I be
statement.
nervous?
Why should I be nervous? But she was like, she texted me before and was like, yeah, I have a cold, but it is all clear. And I was like, oh, so she took a COVID test and she's negative.
Hmm.
She meant, and content warning, gross. She meant her mucus was clear.
Manic
Pixie.
Jump Scare. Hosted by Quinn Murphy
And Becca Hobart.
Hi,
Hi.
we're
We're
Quinn and we're Becca. And welcome to Manic Pixie Jump Scare, a podcast where we talk openly about our shared delusions
passions and
and love
love
for
for
each
each
other.
other.
Oh my God, Becca. Long awaited is
That
this
went
podcast.
perfectly.
I know, yeah. Guys.
Yeah.
So funny thing about us is we're recording on the internet, but we tried to give you that syncopated experience. Is it going to be that? Who knows? We'll have to wait till after. Becca and I are experiencing, because of the Mercury in retrograde, I can only assume, we experienced a lot of technological difficulties trying to get this podcast off the ground.
That is what it was. It was Mercury. I
Yes.
didn't even think about that till now.
Yeah,
So true,
that's
though.
totally what it is, right?
Mhm.
And so, yeah, so Becca and I have been working for like an hour already to try to get this
On the clock.
on the clock.
On the
On the
clock.
clock.
Clocked in an hour early.
Yeah, and so, but we are here with you now, and we are so excited to be doing this podcast. But Becca, when I talk to people about Manic Pixie Jump Scare, they're like, well, what is this podcast? What are you guys adding? What is going on here? And so, what do you think about this podcast? Why are we here, Becca?
Well, honestly, Quinn, that's a great question. I'm so glad you brought that up to me on this day. So it's really just the fact that it's been in such popular demand for so long now, right? We've both independently been approached about how lovable we are separately and together, right?
Yeah,
Like,
together
wow.
in particular, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And also I know I've been told, and I feel like I've told you, we have voices made for podcasting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it only made sense to start a podcast then when you start thinking about, wait, what are we going to talk about? Well, what's our favorite thing to talk about? That's us.
That's us, yeah. That's my joke I always say.
Exactly. Why
No,
not let
but
the
like,
world in on that?
no, seriously though, you actually have a nice voice, like for podcasting. Like it's very smooth
Well,
coming
thank you
across.
so much.
My voice is a little, I could see it getting a little, but
oh, I don't think so at all.
Oh, well, that's so nice. But yeah, people love our dynamic, and so do we, obviously. And so we were like, why not start a podcast? Nobody's doing that. Like nobody has
no one
podcasts.
in this space.
Nobody has podcasts.
Especially theater graduates. They're like, yeah, no one else is doing this.
Oh my God. Man, no one's doing it. It also gives us a little chance, as Becca just said. We are newly minted college graduates who are likely going some different directions in life, maybe not going to like the same physical location. And so Becca and I also wanted a way to kind of scaffold in some bestie time where we could come together and kind of keep this good thing going.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. But with that being said, Becca and I are going to have a little bestie time. We're going to catch all of our not interviewees. I was going to say interviewees. No, none of those yet.
Our fans.
We're going to catch the fans up on kind of what's been going on in our lives. And so as Becca and I just said, we graduated.
Crazy
Stuff. Truly crazy stuff. So Becca, do you have any highlights from your graduation weekend? It was like, oh my God, it's already almost like a month ago.
No, yeah, I'm scared. Well, so I would say a highlight of mine was the fact that I was able to go because I had been sick the week before, as I'll talk about in a little bit, maybe. But the fact that I was there was a big thing. I also look great in black. So I was happy to wear our little robes that did cost $50, which is
Yeah.
crazy. But thank you also for telling me to buy that because I would not have known to go
I
get that.
forgot. I was like,
It was
Becca,
good for
you need to get on this.
Yeah, I know.
I honestly, that was okay. Something they don't tell you about graduation, especially like we went to, let's say it, the University of
University of
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Let's name the names.
Yeah.
So we're both, that's our alma mater.
Notable alum, Gabby Hanna.
Alaska
Yeah.
Thunderfuck.
Who else?
Oh my God.
Yeah,
First swear word on the podcast, I think. Sorry, Becca's dad.
Whoa. All right. Bill's not watching.
Bill. Okay. So that's like, I don't know if it's just because we go to like a 20,000 person school but it's like they don't communicate things about graduation. And so I knew like multiple people who were like even I was like, where do I get my like cap and gown? What do I buy? What don't I buy? And that was like a whole thing.
Yeah,
So,
no, they don't want you to go.
They don't want
They
you to
set you
know.
up.
They don't set you up for success.
No.
And then
Like,
something they also don't tell you about graduating college is that there are so many graduations. And I don't know if this is also just like a Pitt thing because like I myself attended 5 graduation ceremonies.
I mean, you are also you, but that's like, yeah, I know multiple people who went to not just one, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I had 2 majors, so they each had like a little graduation. And then I had a certificate program that had its own little ceremony because it was like within a department that had a bigger kind of ceremony. And what are my other ones? There was one for LGBT students I went to. Not me coming out on the pod. So
yeah.
that's
Hey.
I was there as an ally though. Just kidding.
Always.
And then I had like another that was like for like honors. Like, but anyway.
No big deal.
So yeah, I went to literally 5 ceremonies. My parents, they only had to go to 4 of them. But like I was just dragging my parents along, being like, oh, we got this other one. Like we were jam-packed. And neither of us actually attended like the actual school-wide graduation, which was...
No, there's no need at that point. Like,
yeah,
no, there's just no need.
Well, because Becca and I were both theater majors, let's say it.
Famously,
let's get that out there. If you couldn't
coming
tell
out as
already.
theater majors. Yeah.
The scariest thing. It's
So
people are
spooky.
turning off the podcast at this point,
and
if they haven't
please
already.
stay. Dear God, please.
Please. So we had like our theater graduation, which was like this lovely little ceremony. And like that was honestly, for me at least, because I was also tasked with I was first asked to sing at theater graduation by one of my professors. And so was obviously honored by that. And so I was preparing all that. And then I get an email from the chair of the theater department being like, oh, we want you to speak at graduation as well. We're like inviting you to give like a 2 to 3 minute speech. And I was like, because I was already singing the song. And so I was like, I don't want to turn this into the Quinn show or nothing.
Do I sing and talk? Okay.
Okay.
And then you also received an award.
Oh yeah.
As if the other things weren't enough. You had to you were on stage so many times. It was crazy.
I know. It was I was really like I didn't like for the first time in my life, I didn't want something to be like entirely about me. But then
nice try.
They vanquished my plans. And now, but for the fans, I just want you all to know that like I did make sure that everybody knew what all my different things I was getting like invited to do were. I'm just making sure like, okay, do we really want me doing all of this? And like the department was always like, yeah,
we do.
We do. And so yeah, it was definitely very fun. And yeah, do you have any thoughts about my speech? Or Becca did get named in my speech, I will say that.
Yeah, I was named. I was anxiously awaiting the name drop of me. So that felt nice. Your speech was beautiful. I did cry. Macy, my beloved roommate who
future guest of the pod, we'll say. Future guest of the pod. Absolutely.
She didn't even graduate and she was crying because she found it beautiful how much you love me.
Yeah.
and I love you.
Mhm.
And most people are moved by that. Yeah, but I think our ceremony it was so nice that it was like 20 minutes long.
Yeah. It
Because
was,
my high school graduation ceremony was hours long
oh my
and
God.
had a full rehearsal day the day before. So that's
Uh-huh.
also why I was like shocked getting an email the day before college graduation being like, "Hey, show up at this time," because the day before my high
Oh,
school graduation was rehearsal.
yeah. And then we showed up. They like made us show up an hour early, and then nobody talked to us for like 30 minutes.
Oh yeah, they love to leave you hanging.
They came down, they were like, okay, let's get you in alphabetical order. It was like so loose to the point where literally at the beginning of our graduation, it was in a theater. And so the first two rows um were like sectioned off for the graduates to sit. The person leading the line starts to go up the stairs like onto the stage instead of into the seats. Like it wasn't made clear. Although that might have been just the leader of the line.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're listening, hey, nice. Good work. Good recovery. You walked right back down those stairs and sat where
Yes.
you're supposed to.
Uh-huh.
So yeah.
And this all exists on the internet, which is really funny.
Oh, I forgot. It was
There
live
is a
streamed.
full YouTube video. If you look up like University of Pittsburgh Theater Arts Department, you can watch Becca and I graduate if you are so inclined.
Yeah. I mean, hey.
And so yeah. Something else that was funny about graduating college is that I was not done all of my assignments yet when I like graduated.
Crazy. No, I hate that grades are due like 2 weeks after. So you
Mhm.
could you could walk and you could also not graduate and you would have no idea.
Yeah. It's literally just like a good faith, like it's a manifestation process, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
Because
They're
I
like,
was fully
speak on
like,
it.
I was fully like, I don't think I would have like failed the class like if I didn't turn in the final, but like so I had a final for my capstone class for one of my majors, and so it was like this huge research proposal, and so I was just like, taking some extra time to work on that after graduation. I did not end up finishing it until 3 days after my final graduation ceremony, and so then after that I was really like, oh, it's over.
We did it.
Yeah.
We
So that
did it,
was
Quinn.
yeah. We did it, Joe.
We did Joe.
And Becca, as you alluded to earlier,
Yeah.
you were not in the best of health.
So the rumors are true.
Uh-huh.
Heard it here first. I did contract coronavirus, the misfamed COVID-19. It was mid-April.
Mhm.
So just in time for the last week of classes. Also, I'd like to point out that I will speak on this here. I was around college kids for 2 years and I never got sick.
Mhm.
My mother, my own flesh and blood, my
Yeah.
mommy visited me like 1 out of 3 times during these 2 years and gave me COVID.
That's
As
crazy.
if our relationship was not like already so complicated.
That's crazy.
So that's
No,
just added
and
another layer.
it was honestly so because it was a crazy weekend. So Becca and I were supposed to attend a concert. We were supposed to see Charlie X. Well, the both of us were supposed to see Charlie XCX in Philly. And so we were going home separately, and Becca's mom came to pick her up, and that's when Becca's mom gave her COVID.
Yeah.
And
so
you can't, like,
go.
there's no chance you don't contract COVID after spending 5 hours in a car with someone.
Literally. And at one point, my mom was like, you can wear a mask around me, like, if you're nervous. And I was like, well, she said to,
you're
to
like,
me
why should I be nervous?
Why should I be nervous? But she was like, she texted me before and was like, yeah, I have a cold, but it is all clear. And I was like, oh, so she took a COVID test and she's negative.
Mhm.
She meant, and content warning, gross, she meant her mucus was clear. Girl, why would you say that like that? Why would you do that? So I was under a grave misunderstanding. And I was like, why? If you're negative, I don't need to wear a mask.
Oh my God.
Boom. Coronavirus.
Boom. Coronavirus. I'm writing that down as our cold open for this episode. Pulling back the curtain.
Hey, this is the nitty gritty side of things.
You're seeing the sausage get made, folks.
But yeah.
And so yeah, that was.
I could not go to the concert.
And you couldn't go to your final week of classes as well.
Yeah.
which is crazy.
Literally. So college ended like very early for me
Mm-hmm.
because there's like nothing. There was no makeup work to do. It was literally just all. I missed a pizza party. I missed like the last day, the compliment day in our
Mm-hmm.
class that we have together. So it was like it was tough, but
And we got donuts that day. Well, munchkins. Oh, but you probably can't
I could.
partake because
I can.
oh, you can.
Oh, I eat a munchkin every once and again.
Okay. Well,
Don't
Becca,
you dare worry.
do you want to tell the as we're establishing our identities to the audience? Do you want to tell
Yeah.
the
This is Beck's Gloss lore.
Yeah.
All right. So as we came out as okay, I'm just gonna come out and say it because this is crazy.
Crazy.
I have Nick Jonas syndrome, which is more thank you so much. More popularly known as type 1 diabetes. I'm trying to I guess like get rid of stigma around that. So I feel like Nick Jonas syndrome is more like all encompassing. Yeah, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Stand with
Stand with
diabetics.
the brave. Stand with the brave.
Watch those sugar levels, mama girl.
Watch those carbs, baby. And so yeah, Becca's diabetes will definitely be something we talk about more on this podcast.
Oh yeah, in the high school episode, that'll be a whole. I'll talk about that for 7 minutes. Crazy.
Yeah. And so yeah, okay. But speaking of high school, so Becca and I are actually, as recent graduates sometimes do, we're both home at the minute. And so we want to jump scare. Not a Manic Pixie one either. Like
just a regular raw jump scare.
Literally. And so yeah. So Becca, what is being home like for you, would you say?
So honestly, I am really loving it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a stressful year, a long year.
Yeah.
And I'm also off work right now because I am just like, okay, so I'm dog sitting for my mother.
Yeah.
So they are my dogs. Yeah, they are my dogs, but I'm like in charge of them right now.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just like running around downstairs or something. I don't know, but yeah,
they're just doing them.
They're just, I let them be. It's a good space, but I've just been relaxing basically, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's long overdue. Also, as we're approaching June, I feel more and more like myself every day. I feel like I am my most truest, authentic being in the peak of summer. And is it because my birthday is June 23rd? Like maybe. Maybe.
It's also Gemini season.
It is, which is a good season to me because I'm on the cusp. It's a good
season to me too.
Yeah.
Because I'm famously a Gemini rising. I'm going to come out and say a lot of coming out on this podcast today.
So much.
There's a lot of lore to establish. We're world building right now.
Yeah.
And so yeah, but I feel kind of similarly. Being home has been relaxing to me. It's kind of nice being in like suburbia after being a little city slicker, because things, it's just a different way of being. It's just like, it's just calm. It's also, I live in a much less a much more temperate place than Pittsburgh. And so I really enjoy the fact that, it's not a gray, or the weather isn't so constantly changing that my respiratory system is constantly like in shock. Which are two things I experience a lot.
Great point. Yeah.
It's like sunny here. I can like read on my little porch. And so yeah, but at home life is like, when you go to college, is a little like disjointed, because obviously all your friends go to like different schools and stuff, and so everybody's on different schedules still. So I like got to see my friends, but then it's like it's hard because they're all doing like different things. Like some of my friends are literally like finishing up school. I've been done for a month. I did graduate college early, so like all my like closest friends still have like college left, and I'm just like, oh, I graduated, and they're all like, okay, so what's like being an adult like? And I'm like, terrible so far. What's
Let's not talk about
every day. I wake up and it's a nightmare.
Guys, I'm scared, but I'm gonna ignore it, and that's what summertime's all about.
But that is part of what I think psychologically And I'm a big fan of not pathologizing things, but if I can pathologize for a second, I think that I am so crippled with by my fear of the future, that I revert back to like an earlier version of myself sometimes when I'm home.
Yeah, I am regressing so hard.
Mm-hmm.
So hard. I fully like rewatched like Sailor Moon
Oh,
and a lot of Disney Channel movies. But
yeah.
yeah, no, like I feel myself also doing that. But
Mm-hmm.
also, do you find, okay, I used to have a huge, a crippling, if you will, fear of suburbia and
Mm-hmm.
like living in the suburbs for the rest of my life was like my
Mm-hmm.
biggest fear. But now I'm like looking at my neighbors and like I'm like, oh, you might be onto something. Cause like, yeah, you're so normal, but you seem like a little happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Yeah,
kind of proud of you.
I thought that at first as well, but now I'm getting to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm bored.
I'm
Like,
scared again.
it's also hard because like I don't know, I'm not, I don't have a job or anything here, and so
Yeah.
I literally like sit at home all day with my one dog Chunk because like my other dogs have been elsewhere, and so we keep
The
each
other
other.
dogs have jobs.
Literally, no, I make a joke that I have three dogs: Buddy, who's an
Mhm.
Australian Shepherd, and then Chunk and Buster, who are both English Bulldogs. Chunk is technically my brother's dog, but since my brother is living at home with us,
Mhm.
Chunk is also living here. And so when my brother goes to his job during the day, it's just me and Chunk kind of holding down the fort. And it stinks because Chunk was feral at one point. And
What?
so yeah, he was feral before we got him, and so he was just fooling in the streets of Lancaster. And
Wow.
so he does have some feral tendencies, and he's not like the most well-behaved dog ever. And it's just like truly he just has like psychological things that we can't get past. And so
Mm.
like I can't take him to like a dog park or something because he'll like first of all try to like fight every dog he sees.
Oh no.
Um and so it's a tough process because sometimes I'm at home and I'm like, am I boring to you? And it's like he can't
Chunk.
he can't communicate with me.
Also, I'd like to say that to the listeners, when you picture a dog named Chunk, that's exactly what Chunk looks like.
Yeah.
Like
He is
Chunk, your Chunk is Chunk.
he's such a distinct dog.
Yeah, yeah.
He's truly like no dog I've ever had before. I find dogs so interesting
Mhm.
because first of all, I don't know if you can identify this as somebody who has also a lot of dogs,
Mhm.
but I think it's interesting, especially when my dog Lola, who died in the fall, RIP,
Rest in peace. Yeah.
when she was alive, there was like a pack mentality, and it was you
Mhm.
could see like the social dynamics. So like Buster, Buddy, and Lola, they were all like in a pack with each other. And Chunk was part of the pack in that he lived here, but like he was very on the outs. Like the other
Mm.
dogs did not like how he acted. And so he wasn't in. And so it's
Yeah.
interesting to see their little social dynamics playing out. Do you identify the same things in your dogs?
Absolutely. So Teddy and Goldie, who are toy poodles and have been together here longer, are
Mm-hmm.
like, well, my mom believes truly in her mind that they are dating, which sure. Yeah, 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 sure. She also calls them brothers sometimes.
Oh.
So I don't know about that one, but okay, okay. But Miss Hun, who I say Miss Hun, so her name is also like Dijon and stuff like that.
Sure.
We got her just last year, last July.
Mm-hmm.
And she is much younger, but she also, we believe, had puppies at one point. So she also believes that Teddy and Goldie are her puppies and her boyfriends. So there's so much going on socially. And
Yes.
you could cut the tension with a knife.
So is Miss Hun like the alpha, would you say?
I believe Teddy is.
Mm. Mm.
Because Teddy gets everything he wants, and like
Sure.
Goldie and Honey can like tell.
Okay.
Yeah, he's
Because
the neediest.
Lola, who passed away, was the alpha, despite being
Mhm.
literally a 20-pound French bulldog who I like. Obviously, my other dogs are so much bigger than her, like at least twice her size is like the next
Mhm.
smallest one. And literally
Yeah.
near the end of her life, her spine started degenerating and she was like just kind of like hobbling around and stuff, but she still ruled our house with an iron fist. Like she would use like intimidation tactics and like our other dogs wouldn't drink water. Like she could like my
Whoa.
dog Buddy, he's like the most passive one. Like he's the most passive dog ever. And he would like be sitting by the water and Lola would be sitting there and like I would have to be like Lola, like, and then she would like move and then Buddy knew he could like drink water because since we're humans, I guess we like outrank all of them. Like they all know we
Yeah,
outrank
sure.
them.
I guess.
But yeah, Lola ran this place with an iron fist, and so Buster was like her heir to the throne. But Buster isn't as he's not, he's not ruling with an iron fist in the same way at all, I would say. But
Wow. I can't believe Lola was the true feminist.
no, she was
Wow.
no in the way Margaret Thatcher was a feminist. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
she was the
Yeah.
Margaret Thatcher of dogs.
Oh my God.
Title
Wow.
of that.
I'll miss her. And I miss her every day.
I miss her every day. Okay, well, that was a pretty successful catch up. So
Yeah.
Becca and I are going to throw it to a cheeky little break, and then we will come back with the main topic of this episode.
Woo.
Guys, I'm scared.
Okay, well, we're back.
I'm back.
Welcome back. So for our inaugural episode, what better to do? Becca and I are both, I would say, stylish people.
Yeah, you could say that.
I would say people talk to us about our own individual styles a lot.
Yeah.
And so we thought it would be super fun to try and approach each other's aesthetics in like an academic way and try to name how the other person really kind of does what they do.
I'm so excited.
I am too. I did a lot of research for this.
Oh. I just stared at photos of you.
I did that too.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I
do that usually, but just more. Just more.
Late at night. But
no big deal.
Yeah. Okay, Becca, do you want to get us started? Do you want to hear what I think of you?
I would love to start with my
Okay.
thoughts on you.
Okay.
So what I've done, I have like a general little breakdown. Of course, speaking academically, this
Yes.
is like, yeah. So what I've done is I've broken it down into 3 categories: your aesthetic, the senses, the famous 5 senses,
Oh my
the
God.
feelings, and of course, the most important, the spiritual. Yeah. So right off the bat, I do want to say, like, the general things that come to mind, like when I'm speaking, just like first thought, and someone says Quinn, I go, oh my God, bright colors, a cultural centerpiece, transcending time and space, obviously.
Yeah.
I believe you to have one of the few people that I know that has a true personal style. I believe that in my soul.
Really?
Yes. Like, I think, those videos that are like micro trends are killing the earth. Shein is going to like, all this stuff. I'm like, well, Quinn's not doing that. Quinn would
I
never
truly
do
am
that.
not. Mostly.
Yeah. Of course. Also, like, I know that I've seen you in drag, obviously, which we'll have to talk about at length in another episode.
Next time.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Next up, talk about the drag. But like, I very much view you as always being an off-duty drag, even though like the amount of drag you are in it's like such a small percentile of your life. The rest is just off duty.
Okay, define off duty drag for me.
Like, to me, the swagger that you carry yourself with is like, oh, that person's about to go do drag and like make $500.
I'm going to a show at Brewers. It's Fierce Friday.
Exactly.
I've been booked.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. Like
so interesting.
absolutely. Yeah, it's really interesting. I think you are also on duty, sexy housewife. Always. There's no part of you that is not sexy housewife at all times.
Oh my
And
God.
I can't really speak further on that. It's just intuition that tells me that.
Yeah.
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 I also
I'll
believe
accept.
please do. I also believe you to be your aesthetic to be very multifaceted and gorgeous in general. So let me begin in section 1, which is the senses. So the feeling that the senses are sort of overwhelmed with is like the last day of spring, I would say, in your aesthetic. The smell of fresh air, right? The taste of a dirty Shirley, obviously, or dirty
Yeah.
shirt.
Yeah. I'll accept.
Visually, just like the rainbow and like sunny skies.
Mm.
The touch. Okay, so I did write down smooth and massaging. And I mean that respectfully,
Yeah.
not
In a
disrespectfully.
non-creepy way.
Yeah. And audibly, it's like hyper pop meets like very old country, like Kim Petras ex Dolly Parton. So it's like so much is going on, like it probably will overwhelm like the average individual, but like
Uh-huh.
there's so much character that everyone just falls in love with that.
Oh.
So yeah, those are the senses that I've written down.
This is like, we took very different approaches to this already, and like I'm so enjoying your approach.
Yay.
And often with my relationship with Becca, I am like, comparison is the thief of joy, I will say, but I'm like, you already approached this in such like a better way. Or not a better way, I guess we can say, but like a like very different way, an intriguing
but
way.
I'm sure that I will like appreciate your take just as much. So
Yeah.
anxiously awaiting. The feelings, which you could say is part of the senses, but more emotional than that. It's very like your aesthetic is very warm. I feel like it radiates from the center. So like love, heart.
The solar plexus even.
You could say that if you subscribe to that. A sense of pride, not just close fist pride, but also like proud to be representing like the eccentricities in daily life, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's a great thing. I also just like a little bit of happiness. Your aesthetic is so happy.
Yeah.
I never look at anything around you, on you, and I'm like, oh.
I feel like even when I try to go like darker, because I truly don't like I've only very recently started like doing like darker colors.
Yeah.
Because I just don't like some people like love wearing like all black and like they're fierce in it. And like, but I like, even when I'm wearing all black, it has to be styled a certain way where it's like, first of all, still need a pop of color.
Yes.
Like always. I would never wear like all entire black, but like, it's like, I don't know. It's just, I'm not as drawn to like dark colors. And so I feel like even when I go to like a dark like palette, I'm still kind of like, oh, like, I still try to insert a little bit of whimsy in it.
I would definitely say that. And I'm thinking of now, you made me think of you dressed as Miley Cyrus. Like that was like, you were doing like grunge, but in all the right ways and like your own take. And it was still like colorful and like, you know,
happy. I will never forget. So Becca is referring to last Halloween 2021, if you will.
Yeah.
I had 3 different costumes over the weekend. My first night for the Friday night, because Halloween was on a Sunday, I was going to a party and I was Miley Cyrus. And so I got like this shag little wig off Amazon. It was so cute. I cut it myself, like literally in my apartment to make it like, because I got it and it was like past the shoulder. And I was like, well, Miley kind of has shoulder length. And so I think I might have also, no, I didn't cut like the entire bangs into it, but like I styled the wig a little bit.
Yeah, it was so cute.
And so I don't know where it is, if I can be honest about that. But I do look really good in it. So I felt so good. I had like the blue eyeshadow. It was very inspired when she sang Heart of Glass. It was very inspired off of that, the whole ensemble. And so I wasn't trying to like do like a whole Miley Cyrus thing, or not like a whole Miley Cyrus thing. I dressed like Miley Cyrus would dress, but I just use different pieces. So I have this very famous Cher shirt that I wear that's like a dark it's a black shirt and it has like Cher and like blues and purples and stuff. I got it when I saw Cher on 4/20/2019. Another story for another podcast. But yeah, and then we went to a bar after the party, and my friend Ian better be listening to this pod right now. But Ian wanted to talk to this man, and so I was being the wingman and kind of like distracting the friend. And the friend was like kind of rude about my whole costume. He's like, "Oh, well, who are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm Miley Cyrus." And he's like, "Oh, well, like you have Cher on your shirt," which was a thing a lot of people had. And I'm like, "Well, Miley definitely loves Cher." So
yeah.
Also,
Or
guys,
act like she doesn't.
Also, we need to be real, and like what you said, micro trends are killing us all. And so, as someone who's sustainable and somebody who doesn't like to plan things ahead, it was a week before, and I'm like, well, how am I going to pull together this costume? And so I used what I already had, which we love. And so then I forget how it came up, but he was like, you actually kind of look more like Cyndi Lauper. And I was like, oh, I can see how you got Cyndi Lauper. And he was like, maybe you should have just stuck with that.
Oh my God.
People were kind of mean about my Miley costume, and I was living. I thought it looked so good.
Well, you know what? That's true to character, because guess what? Miley has a lot of haters.
Literally.
Crazy.
Anyway,
wow.
So that was our little, but I digress. Becca.
Yeah. Wow, I did not know that. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
I have to defend Miley, the look outside.
Yeah. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'll move into my last little section, which is the spiritual. And I did write this down. I'm going to read right from my document because I don't want to misspeak on this because it means a lot to me. Okay, spiritually, your style/aesthetic marries queerness and Sagittarianism so profoundly, it is as if the two have longed for each other since the beginning of time, and only at the moment of your birth were these soulmates able to divinely join. Then any binary and boundary slowly faded as the holy union of all that is gay and truth-seeking manifested in you. And I believe that.
Oh my. When I said academic, something about Becca Hobart, she took that assignment pretty seriously.
I was like, let me write a sentence or two.
Let me write a dissertation. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So much to unpack there. First of all, thank you. This was a lovely analysis.
Oh, of course.
This is why this podcast exists. This is why this podcast exists, because who else can I task with giving language to my style? Like,
no, literally, no one else could do this for each other.
I don't think so. And I think
each other.
No, and I'm truly afeared now that my analysis is going to pale in comparison to your own.
Oh no!
But I am just so honored, and I do fear how much of a textbook Sagittarian I am at sometimes.
You really are. When it comes to style, I believe. Like you really can see.
It's eclectic. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I always say one of the first things that comes to my mind when I have to describe my own style is eclectic.
Because
I
can't believe. Yeah, I didn't write that word down, but
I do truly just have so many different things, and I just kind of like I hold on to things. Like there are things I have that I haven't worn, or like I haven't. Like I buy things being like, I don't know what I'm going to wear this with yet, but I know this is something I need to have.
Yeah. I do that a lot. I'm a collector first. A wearer second.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even some things I'm like, I love this.
Which can be toxic sometimes, but that's another episode.
Have a hard time giving stuff away.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is another thing. It's like a lot of people are always like, because I realized like, not that I'm not like a girl who's like, oh, I love thrifting, but like truly so like most, I would say like at least 50%, if not like most of my entire wardrobe is like secondhand.
Yeah. And I've been thrifting with you, and you're a good thrifter.
Mm-hmm.
Like you somehow find the coolest things in there.
And I love thrifting for other people. I love going into a store and like finding things, especially because like I don't feel like I need to do this with you. Like when we're like, I feel like when we're shopping together, it's like a whole other thing.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's an academic experience. But when I'm shopping with people who are
Always.
like not who aren't
They
who
don't
aren't
get it.
exactly at our caliber yet of style, they may be
Okay.
developed in other ways, but they're kind of not. They're people who aren't quite there yet, and
Yeah.
so I love like going with like those kind of people and like being like, oh, you should get this, and then being like, oh, I couldn't wear that, and being like, why not?
Yeah. Break that
That's
down.
I think something we both understand is that clothing is such a powerful way to express yourself. And
Yes.
I think the thing I love about it is it's a way you can express yourself literally every single day. It's a creative outlet you can have as soon as you wake up. Like,
Yeah.
and you can literally choose, like, you can have bearing on your day by what like clothes you put on.
Yes.
And
Manifest
like
it.
literally. And I think it's a powerful thing, like if you want to unlock that in like your clothing and stuff. And yeah.
Yeah. I
and so,
totally
yeah.
agree.
Oh, that was so fun.
Yay.
So now I'm gonna be brave and I'm gonna try to talk about Becca's aesthetic.
I'm so excited.
And so when I think of Becca, the first thing I think about in terms of aesthetics is hyperfemininity.
Mhm.
Like, which is interesting because Becca, I would not say in like a gender deconstructive way.
Mhm.
Like not in like a gender reaffirming way, but in like the most deconstructive way possible. Becca isn't what I would say is like a girly girl necessarily. Would you agree in like your temperament and stuff?
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm like, I'm, I mean, it's hard because, we could talk about this
It's
for
a
hours.
problematic
What
term.
truly
Yeah.
is a girly girl?
As somebody
Yeah,
who holds a degree in gender, sexuality, and women's studies.
right. Yeah.
But Becca's presentation of herself is hyper feminine at like all times.
Mhm.
Like there are so many pinks of varying colors, mostly pale. There are blues, a lot of pale blues.
I love a pastel.
Lavenders,
Ooh,
a
love
lot of pastel, but definitely those kind of like cooler colors. And even when it's kind of like, even when it warms up to like a pink, it's still like a cooler pink,
Mhm.
And so like hyper feminine and like not even cute, definitely empowered, but just like
Oh.
it's almost like you're empowered by how girly you look. Cause like I remember there's this one time you walked into class, you're wearing a velour. It was a black velour Bratz, like as in the dolls, sweatsuit, and you had your hair done up in little like pigtails. It was like half up in pigtails and half down kind of. And then you had two little hot pink pom-poms in your hair. And it was just like, and like you said with me, like so much of a swagger, so much of an empowerment. And you're like in these clothes that like in our culture are like, what's like the weakest thing in our little culture, like a little girl, like stereotypically, but you're like wearing like little girls' clothing and you're like just stomping. And you're being like, no, I can look like this and be a powerful person in the world.
Oh my God.
And so that's like hyper feminine in a way that's not like, it's also not like second wave feministy where there's like something scary about it. It's just you're fully like secure in the fact that like, yeah, I have little pom-poms in my hair and you will respect me as like a powerful person in the world.
And I stand by that.
And yeah. If I had to like name your aesthetic, it's very McBling. I did a lot of like aesthetic, like look, because I was like, let me name aesthetics. And so I was like if you ever want to get lost for an afternoon, go on the aesthetics wikia. There's truly so much going on there. So like McBling is kind of what I described. It's kind of Y2K. It comes after Y2K. And it's much more focused on femininity, as I said, with Becca. But it's a lot less Y2K. A lot of people say things are Y2K, but I believe a big component of Y2K is technology. Like there has to be something kind of futuristic from the 2000s point of view about it. And like not a lot of people will be like, oh, I'm Y2K, but then they won't be like you're not giving fan mail from like TLC, which I think is like quintessentially Y2K. But like, and your it would be wrong to say you're Y2K, even though your style is very influenced by the early 2000s, I would say, because you don't have that technological element to your style. As we said, we had technological screw ups on this pod this very night. And so
true.
You couldn't incorporate that in your style in good faith. And so Mick Bling is much more where you are, I would say. Also, there's another one, Bubblegum Bitch. Let me pull up my notes because I don't quite remember how that is different from Mick Bling, but Mick Bling is very much like, Mick Bling, I would say, is the kind of prevailing one. Oh, Bubblegum Bitch. There's a girl with like, there's a Bratz doll as like tracks. They're very similar. Some of them have like overlapping. But yeah. Oh, literally in music it says artist Ariana Grande, thank you next, 7 rings, 34 plus 35. Like literally you. Doja Cat say so. Like come on now. Yeah. And so so Mick Bling, if I like had to name an aesthetic, Mick Bling is where I think you like most kind of lie. Also, something I think is very interesting about your style and where our personal styles really diverge is that you like to play with monochromatics.
Oh, I love
monochromatics. You are very often H to T in one color.
Yep.
And I think that's very interesting because I am very much I like to, as you said, my style is not more colorful than yours, I would say. I just like to mix colors in a way that other people might not. I
agree.
And I love to play with contrasting colors because as we're talking about the Academy with this, kind of analysis we're doing of each other's styles, I like to play with like contrasting colors because I think like to people who are in the know about like color theory and stuff, it like says something to them about the amount of thought I'm putting into my clothing.
Yeah.
True. And so because sometimes I deliberately get dressed being like I want people to know that I thought a lot about what I'm putting on my body.
Yeah.
And so but I think that's an interesting kind of difference between us because I'm not I don't do a lot of monochromatics.
I'm glad you picked up on that.
Yeah. Also you do not like I would say a good amount of like athleisure.
Oh, I love comfort.
Yeah, you love comfort. You are comfort focused. I'd say you're comfort focused most of the time in a way that I am burgeoning since the let's say it pandemic. I am much more comfort focused than I was at one time. Maybe it's also because I'm getting older.
Fair enough.
But like I used to not care about comfort. Like I used to be like, I'll just be uncomfortable for the night. Or like, and I still do that sometimes. Like there will be times in like over the past like winter where I went out in like the dead of winter and I was like, I don't really need a jacket because like how long am I actually going to be outside tonight?
Okay, but I do that sometimes. I feel like going out is like
a whole
really
other thing.
I'll risk it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like in going to class and stuff, like, no, I can't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Becca, a lot of athleisure, a lot of matching sets as well, which kind of helps with that whole process.
Yes.
And so coordination in a different way. I believe we play with coordination differently in our aesthetics.
Yeah.
Becca also is high camp. There's something very high camp in the way she dresses. First mention of camp on the podcast.
Wow. Oh my God. I'm so proud.
Because I think I think we both do high camp in our aesthetics, but we are very much like, so there's, I liked how, because when I was looking at this aesthetics, camp is famously a very hard thing to like define, but like high camp, I figured out is like, apparently high camp is like camp that knows it's camp and is like trying to be camp. And so that's very much what I believe your style is in line with. Whereas like low camp is kind of the best kind of camp and that people don't know they're being camp.
And is that you? Is that what you're saying?
No,
Okay.
no. I would say, I mean, maybe sometimes.
No, I think we're both. I'm
I
trying
would
to
say
think of like an example of a low camp, you know?
I will tell you, one time I was in low camp was the day I tried to wear like a nice outfit to class, but then I was wearing pants and I was seated on the floor at one point and my pants split open as I was about to go on.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because I was about to say I was low camp when I did a split at a party freshman year
Uh-huh.
and split my jeans right down the middle.
Yeah, and then it's like, so I had a pair of, so the pants were like green, like a beautiful like green, like a
Mhm.
deeper green, and they were corduroy. They were really nice. Well, they weren't nicely made, honestly, because they broke like the
Well,
third time
yeah.
I'm wearing them. And so luckily I was wearing a pair of pants under them, like a pair of green yoga pants that were they were also green, obviously, but they were green in like a different way. And so then I took them off, and so the colors still all work together, but I'm wearing cowboy boots, yoga pants, this very Carly Rae Jepsen t-shirt I'm wearing to the pod, and a brown like suede jacket. It's truly a ridiculous picture. Maybe we'll probably post on the Instagram so we can give you a
Hopefully.
visual
Yeah.
of what we're looking like. But
I can't believe you were wearing an extra set of pants though.
I forget what I was planning to do, but it must have been because I was planning to do like yoga or something.
Oh my God, that's so
Um,
lucky.
yeah, because honestly, like it would have been kind of bad. Like, well,
Yeah.
I was wearing underwear, but like it was like right in my crotch where it ripped.
Well, yeah, when I
Um,
split my pants freshman year, I was unfortunately revealed. I'm sorry to
and it's a
say.
tough thing, and it's a tough thing. It's a thing you have to do sometimes.
It's so tough. I was wearing a
Yeah.
bodysuit underneath my jeans, but
Ooh.
that only
Oh.
it was thonged.
And you're like, well,
There was no escaping.
people
There
are
was no
seeing a lot
escaping
more of
me.
me than they bargained for.
Yeah, hey, I had to do
And
it
and
though.
they're lucky for that. And they're lucky for that, ultimately.
And I'm making them pay $1.
And then I do also really enjoy it when you kind of veer off into like kind of some darker
Ooh.
stuff, because there have been times when I have seen you be a little darker. You go a little bit
Mhm.
into like biker territory or like
Ooh.
soft grunge, as I would
Lit.
say. But like you like the one night I came and met up with you at Mario's Oakland Saloon.
Okay.
You and Macy, you were both wearing those little Taylor Swift 22 Taylor's version hats.
Oh my God. Yeah, our
And you
little
also
Sailor
had like your
hats.
little like leather duster on there, but like you do let yourself go to the dark side sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting.
Oh my God.
I find it
Thank you.
interesting.
The duality of me.
Yeah, the duality.
Wow.
But yeah, I would also say you have a very specific personal style.
Thank you. I feel like I've been cultivating it for so long.
Yeah. And it goes
I've
through,
loved hearing all this.
I find my style also goes through like eras.
Yeah, I feel like also I tend to change with the seasons a lot. Like in
Mm-hmm.
the fall, I start wearing a little bit less like of my pastels and I'll wear like some
Mm-hmm.
deeper reds and navy and stuff, which is
Yeah.
it's solely because of it being fall.
Yeah.
Like I am so influenced that. So I sometimes wonder like if I lived in a place that only had one climate and one like weather, like what would happen to me?
If that consolidates the aesthetic at all, I think that's a valid
Exactly.
question.
Yeah, and I must ask
Um,
it.
and yeah, I don't find myself changing colors as much. I do. I'm gonna say it. I hate spring and summer fashion because I find it so limiting because it's hot.
That is fair. You
I
can
am
only
a
wear so many
layerer.
things.
Something about me. I'm a layerer.
Yeah.
And so
I do love a
fall,
coat and a jacket and stuff.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Speak
Mhm.
on it.
Yeah.
Um, Perhaps my favorite thing to wear, my favorite like article of clothing category, it might be a jacket. Jacket would be up there. I would say jacket or shoes.
Ooh. That is so that is such a good point. Okay, but also I can
Hats.
also hats, guys.
I love hats.
Have you heard of hats? Um, I can be on the opposite end of the spectrum where it's like I have such a good outfit and now I have to cover it up with a jacket. And even though if I'm wearing a cute jacket, I'm like, what if I really focused on this outfit? And like that's the thing I'm connected to right now, what I want
Yeah.
people to see. But all they see is
Mhm.
my cute jacket, which is what they see every day. So that's why I like
Yeah.
summer, is because like I can show off what I want. And also there's
Uh-huh.
no like surprises about how hot it's gonna be, you know?
Yeah.
Like in the winter, I'm like, can I brave it? Yeah, we're like, can I brave it to go out to the bar? It's like, no, you can't, but you're gonna do it.
That's something also very bad about me. I never check the weather when I get dressed.
I used to do that, and then I was in pain. You can't do that in Pittsburgh. It's
You cannot do
crazy.
that. You cannot rely on like a weather radar in Pittsburgh. I think maybe
No.
maybe I should look outside of myself for the solution to my problems,
Hey.
as I usually come to in my life.
Mm.
But yeah,
I do want to.
also, okay, super quickly, because
Oh
I thought of
yeah.
this. What would you say is your favorite color if you had to pick?
Oh, it's lilac.
We've had this conversation before, I remember.
But I
Now,
think I like wearing pink more.
you
Like to
do wear a lot
wear.
of pink.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What about you?
I would say my favorite color to like, I love like a deep green,
Like olive
like
or like
olive,
forest?
like kind of both.
Okay, okay.
I
Hey,
just love,
live that.
like, I love green. I love green
Yeah.
so much. Um, like, yeah, I love green. I also love blue,
So interesting.
but I think blue is because it makes my eyes pop. Becca and I also both famously have
Slay.
blue eyes. So
This is true.
that's something to think about. We're those girls that are like,
Except I literally have the smallest eyes on planet Earth.
mm,
Like I've never seen the whites over top or underneath. Anyway, I do want to go back to something that you said earlier about my
yes,
style, which I've
please,
loved your analysis. This
please.
was so nice to hear. Because I've really delved into hyperfemininity
Yes.
because I feel like, well, so also there's so many great video essays about the hyperfeminine on YouTube.
Hmm.
Like literally just search it in the search bar on YouTube and watch every video, please. Um,
That's your homework. That's your homework for the next episode. To earn
viewers,
your key into the
listeners,
next episode.
doll check-in. Watch those vids. But something that's interesting is, and you sort of alluded to it, I
Mhm.
am a more chill person, like in personality wise,
Mhm.
than my style sort of shows.
Yeah.
And I really, especially in like elementary school, middle school, was totally a tomboy and like really loved calling myself a tomboy.
This I find
And
interesting.
yeah, and I wore, and this is a true fact, in fifth grade, I was that girl who wore two sweatshirts alternating every single day. And I washed the other one on that day. So I wore like jeans all the time. And that was all I wore. That was
Crazy.
just me. And I like played in the dirt. Like I was so different. And also it's
So
something that's
different.
so different than I am now.
Um,
But it's like interesting because now I'm not afraid of like being a girly girl because it's been
mhm.
demonized for so long. Especially like it
Yeah.
was weird and it was bad to be a girly girl. Like
Which we're coming out on
I
the
was
pod and
younger.
saying we love girly girls.
We love girly girls. We
We
love
have one
girly
as a
girly
host. We have
girls.
two as a host, I would say,
We
actually.
have two of a host. Yeah, exactly. No, yeah. And like even like watching there's a video called Demonizing the Hyperfeminine, and it's like about mean girls and like how in Legally Blonde they try to like put Elle down for being like for liking pink and stuff. And the whole
Mhm.
point of the movie is like, no, you can be a girly girl and you can be a bimbo and you can be smart. But I miss that.
Legally Blonde is an amazing feminist document.
It is the most important movie in American history.
Yeah.
And film bros will always be like, "Oh, Pulp Fiction this, Pulp Fiction that." Basically, my whole point is that I'm not scared to like dress super girly and like how I want to dress all the time. Um, and I'm like every day I view getting dressed as like healing my inner child and like getting to like wear fun
Oh.
colors and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's also a big part of my style because obviously, as you said, my style is very queer. I
Mm-hmm.
own I would say all of my graphic t-shirts say something about being gay on them.
Yeah. And many hats as well.
Yeah.
So many hats.
Yeah. And I think there is something about it that, like, for me at least, being able to dress so queer. And I don't know if you ever look yourself like in the mirror sometimes when you like concoct an outfit and you're like, okay, is this like too much? Am I crossing a line? Like when I'm wearing a shirt that says gay icon, just like to class, to like a class where I have like an 80-year-old professor. Like, am I doing too much at that point?
But I don't think you are. As someone who one time wore a wig instead of an umbrella, I don't think you're doing too much. I don't think.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it is true that, like, especially because obviously we're just coming off of our college era and going into the podcast host era. There is something that can be so healing about being like, okay, well, I look like gay as fuck, and that's okay. Especially because I came from a high school environment where we're getting into the Quinn lore now. I went to an all-male, quote unquote, Catholic high school. And so we literally had to wear Western business attire every day. And so we literally wore button-down shirts, ties, like khakis or slacks, and then when weather permitted, we wore sports coats. And so we were like little businessmen, quote unquote.
Jeez.
Like every day to high school, which like I didn't realize that, like, I'm like just now unpacking like a lot of the stuff that happened in high school and how like not good I felt at some points. And like truly I felt so constricted, I think. Like just the thing of like putting a tie on, which like not to like compare my struggles, because there are like some really historically weird ways in which we have forced women to like constrict themselves literally in fashion and stuff. But like putting a tie on, you're literally tying something around your neck, which you need to breathe. You're tying something around your windpipe. And so like there is something constricting about it. And there's something constricting about not having a choice in what you wear. And even then, like I would like play with color a lot in school and stuff, in my high school and stuff. And so I don't know, it's really, and now whenever I wear like I can't wear like what I wore to high school anymore without like my alarms going off in my head. Being like, ooh.
No, that sounds terrible.
But yeah.
Wow.
But we're healing ourselves through fashion.
We are.
And we're healing ourselves through this podcast.
And hey, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
But also we didn't talk about makeup, which I find interesting because we both I feel like we have healthy views on makeup, and that is, and something that I've also had to heal from is the fact that like I used to feel like I had I used to feel like I had to wear makeup every day. And like it had to, but now I'm truly in a healthy place with it, where it's like, this is only fun.
Yes.
And like if I ever have like the intrusive thought of like you need to put concealer on before you leave, I just like ignore that, and like makeup is truly fun.
I want to do like a whole other episode on makeup specifically.
Okay,
but I will comment on because it just made me think of something, because people are always, I'm somebody who like, I would say I dabble in makeup. It's not something I do like a lot, but sometimes I'll be like, let me do my makeup tonight. But
yeah,
I have a lot of experience doing makeup, just because, not to bring it up, but as a theater kid, especially as a gay kid in theater who did drag a lot, on the come up, and as somebody who grew up with like RuPaul's Drag Race on TV, like I just know a lot about makeup, and in the beauty guru era, of course, so much at all.
Literally,
I just know so much about makeup and have so much skills just through like osmosis, where like truly every time I talk to my mother about what I should do career-wise, she brings up being a makeup artist, despite the fact that I have never like actually done something like that professionally. And so like makeup's very interesting as well, because I remember I'm a big fan of Glow Up. Have you ever watched Glow Up on Netflix?
A little bit. I've mostly watched Trixie and Katya watching it.
Becca, you would love Glow Up because it's a makeup show and it's British.
Mhm. Okay, you've sold me.
You really no, you need to get on it because
Yeah.
it's so good. But Glow Up, for anyone who hasn't seen it, it's like a makeup competition show. Trying to find like the next big like makeup artist, basically.
Yeah.
And there was this male finalist on it last year who, for like the final challenge for like the past 2 seasons, they've done like demonstrations of like makeup in front of like big clients, and he did like male, quote unquote, like everyday makeup, and it's just like I was like, yeah, but it's like so much to do, and like makeup is like, I guess it's like with anything, but like makeup, having it on your face, I find it very uncomfortable.
Really?
I don't, and this is something Becca and I have talked
That's
about. I don't like
interesting.
having makeup on my face, to be honest.
I can deal with it, but I also don't know if I've just like like done it for so long.
Maybe it is something that's like callous, like
Yeah, they have
in
to
like
get
a
used
weird
to
way
it.
that you build like calluses up almost, where you like get used to
Mhm.
it. I think because I do it so infrequently, I truly like the feeling of like makeup in my eyes. Like I hate, because something about me, one of, if not my favorite sensation in the world, I'm doing a visual on the podcast,
Rubbing
rubbing
my
my
eyes.
eyes.
Don't talk to me when I'm rubbing my eyes.
Rubbing my eyes. There's something so healing about
I
rubbing your
love
eyes.
it. Oh my
Even
God,
though
I want to.
everyone, whenever I talk about this, people are like, rubbing your eyes is so bad for you. You're gonna get wrinkles, you're gonna get disease, you're gonna get all this stuff. And I'm like, you know
Literally,
what?
shut up.
I can't stop. I don't smoke
No.
cigarettes. I don't do like,
This is
let me
my
have
thing.
something. Let me have
Yeah.
something
My guilty pleasure.
in my
No,
life.
I fully rub my eyes. I have rubbed contacts into the back of my eye by rubbing
Oh,
my eyes so
that's
hard,
tough.
but I continue to do it because it is my
Yeah.
joy, and I deserve that joy. Yeah. But okay, I will say I have to put primer on or like some sort of like skin cover before face makeup, or else I literally will throw up from thinking of foundation being like sucked into
In
my
your
pores.
pores, yeah.
Yeah.
I
But
think
it's probably happening.
that's the industry standard.
Well, it's
Like
yeah,
you're
you would
supposed
think.
to.
But I think a lot of people, I don't know, there's like half of the population that does makeup that I think was raised on beauty gurus and like knows all the steps, and then people who sort of just go for it and are
Yeah,
a
some
little bit
people,
wrong.
I'm a little bit of both.
And that I'm so happy for you.
But I really do like face makeup. Like I really do like foundation or concealer or anything like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're more of like an eye makeup person,
I like an eye makeup or like a lip.
and you're very good at it.
Oh my God, stop. That's so high praise coming from you. Anyway, we're gonna do
Oh
a
my
different
God.
episode on makeup entirely, but
Yeah.
this is a preview.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Sneak
I
peek.
think that was our conversation on aesthetics. And so now
Yay.
we're gonna cut to one more little cheeky break if we can. And then we're gonna come back and introduce some of our segments on the podcast.
Yippee!
Yeah.
Guys, I'm scared.
Okay, everyone, we're back. And
Back
so
again.
we are going to end the podcast each week. So sorry that we're coming to the end, but this is already much longer than I think Becca and I anticipated it being. But it's the premiere episode. We have to establish things. I think it's okay for
guys,
the
this
premiere.
is a big step.
The premiere is going to be a little long. Things are going to be shorter from now on, hopefully, or maybe they won't. And that's the beautiful thing about having a new kind of like creative product.
And you know,
and so-
comment below, guys, what you think.
Comment below. No, guys, honestly, let us know. Will it have much bearing on what we end up doing? Not sure.
Who's to say?
Not sure. But I know that there is an audience for 2-hour podcasts, and so I don't know. But we're gonna. So as we said, the name of this podcast is Manic Pixie Jump Scare.
So true.
When I tell you that, I'm gonna take credit for it because I did come up with the name.
Yeah.
And it randomly came to me one day. I was walking down Oakland Avenue. And Becca and I had talked about having a podcast. I knew that I wanted to have a podcast with my friend Becca.
Yeah.
And I texted her. Our podcast will be named Manic Pixie Jump Scare. She does not respond.
I didn't respond.
You didn't respond.
Oh my God.
You missed it. It's sometimes things get lost in the shuffle, and I understand that. But because when I told Becca like in person, I'm like, I have this idea, she was like, oh my God. Perfect name. And I was like, I sent it to you, and she was like, oh, you did. And it was just something that got lost in the shuffle, but it's a funny little story.
LOL.
So manic pixie and jump scare, even though Becca and I are post-structuralists at heart, it is a little bit of a binary that is sometimes a circle, because a manic pixie jump scare can be a thing. And so each week at the end of the podcast, we are going to each individually name our jump scare of the week, which is an experience, a piece of media, or basically anything else that reinforce Becca and I's shared profound fear of the world in which we live. And so Becca, what is your jump scare moment for this week?
So I actually had one prepared, and then something happened yesterday and I have a new jump scare, but I'll just share really quick that the Victoria Justice rom-com on Netflix was a little bit good. That was like my original jump scare, but my
wait, say more about this? Wait, a Victoria's Secret rom-com?
Victoria Justice. Oh, God. A Victoria's Secret rom-com would just be porn. That's crazy. That's crazy.
And that's what we're writing, baby, after this call.
Yeah. Okay. But
Oh
my true jump scare was, and I don't want to speak too loudly because this is about my neighbor. So as Quinn, I did say I'll be late for something, or, I got to take a 30-minute break. I have to drive my neighbor somewhere. So my neighbor is a very elderly woman. And she's a little bit like, she's a character, you could say, well, her car like broke down or whatever, and she needed me to drive her to her dad's house to get his car and use that. And her dad was actually, I thought he was going to be there, but I'll get to that later. Anyway, so I drive her there. I'm like, yeah. It's a 10-minute drive. We get in. It's like an apartment building. I thought it was going to be a house. And she's like, I need you to come in with me and like get his mail with me. And I need help. And I was like, okay. And I didn't really I was like, an old woman needs help. Like, I'm going to go. I'm a nice person. And I then was like, we're walking into the elevator. And I was like, there's no chance that like my neighbor could be like a trafficker and like, she could be trying to traffic me and trick me. So she's like old. But I convinced myself
she was going to overpower you.
That she was going to, which is crazy because I can be pushed
Young,
and not fall over.
Virile,
everything, all of the
strong.
above. Am I A, young, B? But so I thought that, and then like literally, I also thought like her dad's gonna be in on it. He's gonna get me. He wasn't even there, and it was completely fine. But I genuinely did for a second believe that my elderly neighbor was gonna traffic me, and that was scary to me.
No, our minds work in a very similar way on many levels, but this is another way. I'm constantly like dreaming up truly crazy scenarios of things that could happen to me.
Yeah.
So that's
when everything's
but you're here to tell the tale. And so
I lived.
Thank goodness Becca didn't get trafficked.
Thank you so much.
Anyway, so yeah, my jump scare of the week would definitely have to be being home, as we talked about earlier on the podcast. I returned to my high school, which I talked about a little bit in our last before break. And it's just like, I didn't realize, because I was kind of like, now that I've graduated college and I'm like, I think about high school and I'm like, oh, like Simple Times, Casey Musgraves. The amount in which I am connecting to the song Simple Times by Casey Musgraves, crazy right now. So that's where I am. And so I was like, oh, let me go back to high school. It'll be like, again, regressing because I'm so scared of what comes next in my life.
Yeah.
So I went to my high school's like spring play happened to fall this weekend, like while I happened to be home. And so I was like, oh, let me go see that. And so I pull into the parking lot. Oh, mama, fight or flight response going off. Fully like there's like my body is just like, when your body just like feels like hot and cold at the same time, and you're like, It just feels like something's about to jump out of your chest. I was literally feeling that way just going to like my high school's play. It gave me so much anxiety, like a crazy amount of anxiety, because I'm like, who will I see? What would, and I'm not, I do have like a little bit of social anxiety, but I'm a very extroverted person.
Yeah.
And so I love going to events. I love doing all that kind of stuff. But there was something about it that was so scary to me. And then it ended up being like fine. But and like I ended up like the show ended up being like fun. It was really, they did like this environmental, like our parking lot at our high school was huge. And so they blocked off like one section of it. And they were doing the play After Juliet, which is a fictionalized version of like what happens after, well, I guess it's all fiction, but a like story of what happened after Romeo and Juliet died. And so they like did it outside as like the sun was going down. There were like lights and there were vendors there. Like you could buy a ticket for like food or drink and then like give it to like one of the vendors and like get something. The people I were sitting with had like a cheese board, like a whole charcuterie board. Like it was crazy. Like the atmosphere. It was supposed to be like Italy, Amalfi Coast vibes, like very much that. But yeah. But it ended up being like a good experience. I'm glad I went. It's also weird because like you think in high school that you are it. Like especially in my theater program, I was like, oh, mama, I am it. I am leaving a legacy. I'm cementing myself.
Most likely to be famous.
Babe, no one knows me there. I went with my friend who graduated last year. He was like my youngest friend in high school. Everybody's coming up to him being like, oh my God, hey, oh, how are you? Oh, what's going on? He's talking to everybody. And it's like, I'm like this. I knew two people in the show. And that's because when I did Les Mis my junior year, they were Gavroche and they were middle schoolers. And now they're in high school. So like that's how old I am.
Did you like see any teachers at least?
Yeah, I did see teachers. They're the people that kind of like know me. And like my theater director was like making a big deal about like how I like had graduated college. And I was like, okay, so that's a little,
okay.
like,
So
it's
you had
it's a little early to be referencing that. Also, I saw my high school principal, who I like truly one of the villains of my life.
Yeah.
They always are. Like not a way that like he just did something very specific to me one time where I was like, this is terrible. And maybe I'll tell the story about it one day, but he is just like, for some reason, even more than like I endured a lot of different like emotional abuse in high school from like various different figures, but like for whatever reason, him, like somebody I will never allow myself to be cool with. And so I like avoided his gaze. I was like, I'm not trying to talk to you. Sorry.
Can't have a second jump scare.
And he didn't come up. He didn't make a point to come up to me either. So,
leave it at that.
Maybe he gets it. But yeah. And so,
wow.
Becca and I don't want to end this podcast on a sour note. We would never want to do that. We're positive people at the end of the day. Sagittarius, I'm an optimist.
Have to keep it all cool.
And you're Sagittarius rising, Becca, correct?
You better believe that.
Yeah. And so after the jump scare of the week, we talk about our manic pixie moment of the week. And that is a particular moment, experience, or basically anything else in which Becca and I felt that we were the main character of this existence. Or something that made us happy, doesn't have to be super. Something I wrote in the outline that I'm particularly proud of is I like to think of Sydney Sweeney when I think about the jump scare moment and the manic pixie moment. Jump scare is the scene where she's with Nate in Nate's bedroom and she's like, she's crazy, but I'm crazier. I can't even do the face, but like something about Sydney Sweeney's face in that moment, scariest thing you could ever see.
Literally.
And then the manic pixie moment is when she's hanging out Nate Jacob's pickup truck passenger seat window while Dead of Night by Orville Peck is playing. Nate's probably going 100 miles per hour. So if anything is on the side of the road, her whole body is getting cut in half.
Literally.
But she can't care about that in this moment.
No.
And so Becca, what is your manic pixie moment for this week?
So, nothing as crazy as almost being hereditaried in a car, but like Sydney Sweeney. But I was.
You don't have those moments at least once a week.
Wait. I mean, I do. I'm just not just going to publicly talk about that.
Yeah.
Come on. But I would say my manic pixie moment was just a nice little moment where I visited Starbucks, the one that I'm actually transferring to in like 2 weeks. But they didn't know that. So I was just
undercover
a stranger
boss.
to them. No, literally undercover employee. But I was complimented by one of the baristas about my tattoos.
Yeah, you
and
were.
then you better believe that.
Mhm.
Okay. Look at all that.
Yeah.
But so much money for just compliments. That's all I gained from them. But then everyone like around me just started looking at me and I was like, wow, I just really was fulfilling the role of like hot, mysterious stranger.
Mhm.
So that felt good. But
Yeah.
now I must ask you, what was your manic pixie moment of the week?
My manic pixie moment of the week is that I'm actually just today back from a beach trip. I went overnight to the beach. Becca didn't even know about this.
I did not know.
I didn't
So this
share it
is
with
another
her.
jump scare for me. Oh my God.
Perhaps as scary as almost getting trafficked. Not almost, but convincing yourself that you were about to get trafficked.
No, both of our jump scares were like, we thought this was really bad, but it was fine. Like showing the power of the mind.
The world is our own creation.
We are scared.
Yeah, and so me and my one friend, we're trying to figure out a time to like hang out and stuff like that. And so she was texting me and she goes, "Oh, do you just want to come down to like my beach house?" And I'm friends with both her and her sister. And I was like, yeah, I think so. So I went to Sea Isle City, New Jersey. And we got there yesterday, beautiful weather. We go and sit on the beach. It's a little cold even because the wind was like blowing on the beach a little bit. But it was beautiful. The water was very cold. It was 55 degrees is what their brother told me. But yeah, swam in the water a little bit. Had a nice dinner last night. Had some drinks. It was a beautiful couple hours. I am a little sunburned because I sat out today on their deck. But nothing too bad. And so yeah, but it was just so there are few things I'll say more powerful than having a friend with a beach house.
Yeah. I mean, that is one way I'm lacking in life.
It's such and something I'm blessed with in my life, if I can say it, is multiple friends with beach houses.
Multiple?
It's probably so I'm another piece of the Quinn lore. I'm born and raised Delaware, baby.
Oh, that's true.
And so Delaware, first of all, a lot of you were like, what? And so Delaware is the first state in the United States of America. Look it up.
Yeah.
And it is
Come
now
on, America, Lord.
And it is now a tax haven for every corporation in America. And delicious. So it also has some really nice beaches in the southern part of the state. Now I live in like the northern part of the state, like 2 hours north. But like my aunt has a beach house, my grandparents have a beach house. And now like a bunch of my friends have them, but I actually went to New Jersey. But like, not only do I have multiple friends with beach houses, I have different beaches. Like
that is so lucky.
This summer, I was at my friend's beach house in South Bethany in Delaware. And then literally my grandparents are in Rehoboth. My aunt's also in Rehoboth. My friend Mara, who I was just talking about, is in Sea Isle City in New Jersey. And so like having a friend with a beach house is a powerful position to be in life. And it's something I'm so blessed to have.
I hope you write that in your gratitude journal every single day.
Literally.
Every morning.
Friends with beach houses. And it's just like, it's just a way of life because I think my family, like, because like, obviously it's like a really regular thing like in Delaware to like have like a house in like Newcastle County, which is like the northern county, and then also have one like down at the beach or something. And it was just I think I remember like my parents talking about it's like, why would we get a beach house when literally like there are so many around us already? And so like it's something I've learned.
And they were true for that.
And it's like you get to reap the benefits without having any responsibility. It's an amazing thing.
That. Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, and that's gonna bring us to the end of our first episode of Manic Pixie Jump Scare. Oh my god, this is a landmark first episode. I am so excited about this. I'm so excited to be doing this with Becca. I'm so excited for people to hear it. Becca, if people want to keep up with you, where can they find you on social media?
Well, I'm at Becca Hobart on Instagram. I'm
Mhm.
at Where Y'all Going During World War III on TikTok. And I'm
Yeah.
at Bex Gloss on Twitter. What about you,
Yeah.
Quinn?
I am at Quinn P. Murphy on Instagram and TikTok. And I am at Quinny P123 on Twitter. I'm trying to consolidate all my usernames because
Username.
that's another powerful position to be in, having a consolidation of all the usernames.
Crazy. I know. I'm
Um,
after that British bitch that's also named Becca Hobart because she has a
she
few of
must
mine.
die. She
I'm
must
on the
die.
hunt. Yeah.
There are no like super famous Quinn Murphys, but the other famous one, there's another reason why I can't be a makeup artist. There's already a Quinn Murphy who's like a
In the
relatively
makeup
like
world.
established makeup artist.
That is
And
tough.
so that would be a really hard lane to get in.
You would have
Um,
to battle, I've heard.
but yeah. Okay, and Becca,
Crazy.
how can people follow the show if they are so inclined?
Well, that's a great question. So we are at Manic Pixie Jump Scare on Instagram and TikTok. And also feel free to email us at manicpixiejumpscare@gmail.com.
Yes,
We will
yes.
read
Okay.
everything.
Uh-huh.
No inappropriate photos, guys.
Are we sure?
Seriously.
Are we
Guys,
sure?
unless you're super hot, no
No,
inappropriate.
because I listen to multiple podcasts where they get sent like dick pics, like in emails.
Oh my gosh. Okay, now that's gonna be a whole thing. That's gonna be part of the
Well,
lore.
maybe that's not. I don't know. I mean, if you're inclined, but like you don't like no need
You don't
to
have
ride.
to.
No need. I don't know. Becca and I are not concerned about our image. You
We're
can
good.
tell we're not concerned about our image. But yeah, we are really excited. If you have any like things you want to say about the show, anything you want to chime in, we are like on our way to being famous. We're not quite as famous as we would like to be yet. So, we're still
Yeah.
really connected to the fans. And so
Yeah.
maybe like if you want to submit like a Manic Pixie moment one week, or like if you have a particularly good jump scare of the week, like we can like
We'd love
pass
to
those things
hear.
off to other people. And we would love to hear from you. And yeah, it would make us feel secure in the fact that people are listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
But like, regardless of whether people are listening, Becca and I are just gonna keep doing this because
Yeah. We have fun.
this one was a lot of fun. I'm gonna say it.
I'll say it, guys. I'm being brave. Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that was our first episode.
Yay.
So until next time, we bid you all adieu.
Adieu. Bye.
Bye guys. Manic Pixie Jump Scare is hosted by Quinn Murphy
And Becca Hobart. Executive produced by Quinn Murphy and Becca Hobart.
Sound and video editing by Quinn Murphy.
Social media management and highlights by Becca Hobart.
And our theme song was written by Quinn Murphy, Becca Hobart, and Nandita Mahesh.